grey skies, driving rain, a slippery circuit, and a strong wind. These are the conditions which face the 30 starters in this, the 14th British Grand Prix, to be run over 75 laps of the 3-mile circuit here at Aintree, 225 miles in Britain's only event to count for points in the Formula One World Championship of Drivers. The race run on behalf of the RAC by the British Automobile Racing Club with the assistance of the Daily Mirror. 30 starters lined up there on the grid with a little under 4 minutes to go to the start. Already, the International Assembly has been presented with the pomp which befits such an occasion, and now the nervous tension immediately before the start begins to mount. And in pole position, we see the quickest of the 4 men who have tied for the fastest practice lap, a thing I can never remember. That's Phil Hill, the leader of the Ferrari Works team and leading in the World Championship at the moment with 19 points, who went round in 1 minute 58.8, 90.91 miles an hour, at a time equaled by his teammate next to him there on the grid, the American Richie Ginther in car number 6, and on the outside, beyond Richie Ginther's Ferrari, Joachim Bonnier leading the Porsche team, the man who very nearly won the French Grand Prix. On the second rank of the grid, the third of the Works Ferraris, Taffy von Trips, who also did 158.8, and therefore the second fastest laps were the deciders for the grid. And there in car number 28, the man who must be enormously grateful for this rain and those reflections on the slippery surface about him. Sterling Moss at the wheel of Rob Walker's Lotus, looking round, checking his own position on the grid. Now just look at that picture. The forced smile or the casual smile? Well, your guess is as good as mine. And behind him there, with 1 minute to go, Tony Brooks, the quicker of the two VRMs, and alongside him, the two Lotus Works drivers, Innes Ireland in 16 and Jim Clark in number 18 there. And behind the rest of the field of 30 starters, there's Jim Clark, who also likes the wet and who also went very fast in practice in the wet yesterday. And behind the rest of the 30 starters, Jack Brabham is there, fairly well placed. There's him in car number 12, the other Porsche of Dan Gurney, Bruce McLaren, Graham Hill there on the inside in car number 20, and then the private entries, and there in the very center of the picture now, Jack Fairman at the wheel of the four-wheel drive Ferguson, which must be at an advantage in the wet weather here, but now seconds to go before the start. You can see the rain, 225 miles, and the 14th RAC British Grand Prix. Sterling Moss trying on the outside and then cutting back again, and it's the two Ferraris which lead away in that great cloud of spray towards Waterways Corner, with Phil Hill in the center of the track and his teammate Richie Ginther right alongside him. Sterling Moss going through in 5th position there. There's Tony Brooks, who we saw on the third rank of the grid, and just look at the conditions as the drivers go through this over 100-mile-an-hour corner in the dry. But what a terrifying experience that must be for the tail-enders to go into that solid sheet of water. Meantime, the leaders are coming down into that section of the circuit which is called the country loop, which is a triangle of 4 quite slow corners at about 40 miles an hour in the dry and a good deal less in the wet, and it looks to me as if Phil Hill on the Ferrari is in the lead as he brakes to go around that left-hander, and it's Von Trips and Richie Ginther, the 3 Ferraris in the lead, and Bonnier up there just about alongside Moss, so the race has settled into the sort of pattern one would expect. Keeping an eye for the Ferguson. It went through on the inside there, taking an entirely different line from everybody else, with Fairman relying on his four-wheel drive. Meantime, the leader is going down Valentine's Way now, which is an extremely fast straight. There he is on it now, and and then down to the far end of entry, car number 2, Phil Hill, leading the World Championship and leading the British Grand Prix on this opening lap, and accelerating up the railway straight now up towards 130 miles an hour in the Formula One 1.5-litre cars, and it's still maximum speed on the straight regardless how wet it is, and now coming into an extremely difficult hazard of the entry circuit, the Melling Crossing, which is a 90-mile-an-hour left and right flick, followed by a very deceptive right-hander which Phil Hill is taking now, and then the short dash into Tats, savage braking right down to less than 40 miles an hour, and round they come, and it's Phil Hill, Von Trips, Richie Ginther, and then Sterling Moss. That's the order as they go, and then Joachim Bonnier there on the Porsche in 5th place. So it's the 3 Works Ferraris, and there's Jim Clark, and then Tony Brooks, and then Graham Hill, and then Jack Brabham.